Sharing our stuff. When will it be done? Sharing our stuff. I thought he would be done by now.
It's almost done.
He's almost done.
Oh, I gotta pull up the script, the opening script. Okay.
Good time.
Hey, this is the Two Hippies, One Drunk on the Road edition. We're coming to you live this week from Gainesville, Florida. And on this week's episode, we will be talking about our time in Alabama and Georgia. Oh, hello. This I am Eric, the guy. And then Eric the guy. You may know me from the Two Hippies, One Drunk regular show, or the Big E Comedy Venture show with Amy on Mondays. Anyway, this is Scott, as always, on my right.
Hey, how's it going?
He's actually not always on my right, but he's always here. And Tyler is on my left,
right over here.
And these directional references are only if you're watching. If you're listening on the podcast.
If you're listening on the podcast, it doesn't matter.
Right. Anyway, as Jay used to always say, as I said that this last week, but that will be a trans parent to the listeners. They don't need to know any of that shit. Anyway, having said, okay, we are in Gainesville right now, just a few miles away from the University of Florida. And last week when we left you off, we had basically ended at Panama City because we had so much to talk about. And we'd already experienced our weekend with Alabama Joey, but there was quite a bit to talk about, and we're going to get into that now. So we showed up. I have a friend that used to listen to the Detroit cast, and he was a big supporter. And he was like, "Hey, man, if you're in this certain area, let me know. I'll put you up for a little bit." Luckily, it turned out even better because, one, he gave us a place to stay for 2 nights, but also a character, if you will, that worked on our car, and we'll get into that also as well. So first I want to ask these guys, because I at least had gone on a hiking trip with Joey. What was your guys' and I'll start with Scott just for whatever reason, but what was your thoughts, not knowing this guy when we got into this situation?
Yeah, so first off, I thought he was really old. Something about the name Alabama Joey, yes. Something about how it was presented. Same. Or something. I was like, he's like a 50, 60-year-old man, which I was dead wrong about.
No, you're right. I can see that. A guy named, I'm not only calling him Alabama Joey because I don't remember names. And so in my phone, I call him that because he's from Alabama and his name's Joey.
Fascinating.
But you're right, though. You're right. If that was like a true nickname, it was like, oh, everyone calls him Alabama Joey. That does sound like an 80-year-old man with that just kind of sits there drinking his beer on the porch or whatever. And
yes, I definitely thought he was going to have a big, long, white beard.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just imagined it in my head.
Starting fires with flint to scare off gators.
Right.
It definitely wasn't that. No, he wasn't that.
No, and he was a super cool guy. How old was he?
You know what? He's
can we bust him out on
believe
this
it or
show?
not, I think he's like my age.
Yeah, that checks out. Checks out. He's holding it together better than you.
Yes, I mean he does. He owns a business with a family and is able to afford food and whatnot. So I agree. It doesn't take a lot to hold it together better though. He knew how to make a meal, and then we had to sit down and not stare at the TV. So, we get
crazy things like that, like hanging out with your family for a bit.
Right. Yeah, that is things that I don't do. So those were their thoughts on him. We get there and
I didn't. He's awesome. I thought Alabama Joey's one of the nicest people we've met on this journey so far, for sure.
Although there might be someone that rivals him, and if Joey's listening, he'll have to keep his ears open for his competitor. That we'll get into a little later. Yeah. But so we get there, and Joey, his parents or his wife's dad owns a campground, and Joey kind of runs it. But he lets us stay in his house. We kind of kicked his kids out of our bedroom for a few days, But what are you gonna do? That's what you get when you're big time celebrities. And,
kicking kids out of here, kid. This is my bunk bed now.
Right. I mean, that's the level of fame. That's the level of success we're at here. I'm not big enough to rent out a house. But big enough to kick a few kids out of their beds.
Oh yeah, we could big time the hell out.
Right,
and we did.
Although I didn't when it came to spelling. And if you haven't seen it already, a lot of our people that listen to this show are pretty active on our Facebook page. But if you're listening to and you're not on the Facebook page, we do have a video attempting to take on an 8-year-old in a spelling competition, and I'm gonna have you go see that video to how it went down. Although I kind of just gave a hint. So we get there, and for real, Joey makes us this very nice meal, like chicken. What was it, Marsala or something?
No, chicken Marsala.
Marsala. Okay,
it was delicious, and we got to watch him make it. It really felt like we were at like P.F. Chang's or like some place like that where they're cooking in front of you.
Well, Scott had a point. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to really quick just say too, we are so grateful for all the people who have been helping us out and housing us and letting us stay. We just had a guy comment right now to tell us he's got us when we're in Illinois, and that's so cool because honestly, like it's such a massive help and just more than we ever expected.
Yeah, every little bit helps. And then as far as that meal, I wanted Scott to describe what he told us because we're eating. We're not starving. Yeah. We're not starving, but when you're on a budget, like you kind of eat just enough. And I think we're all learning to eat just enough or be happy with what we get. And Scott, what was your thoughts on that dinner?
Oh, dude, and I'm not a big eater either. So he made this food. It looked awesome. It looked delicious. I piled way too much on my plate, and then I was like, I have to fucking eat this all. I'm not gonna put this in the trash after putting it on my plate. After this man let me into his home and gave me food, and so I had 3/4 of the most delicious meal I've ever had since I started this trip, and then 1/4 of a extremely brutal. I felt like the fat guy in Seven, just shoving food into my stomach.
Well, it was Thanksgiving almost for us. Like,
for sure.
And by the way, here's as Scott likes to call a little inside baseball. I just looked over because we only have one room key.
I coined the term inside baseball. By the way, nobody ever said that before.
Nobody. I'd never even heard of it. I just heard baseball and said Scott said something sports. Anyway, we're in this hotel. We only get one key, so a lot of times we just like leave the bolt open so we can all just not have to run. And I'm noticing the bolts open now.
Definitely, people are hearing this.
Right. It's in the middle of the day, but the what do you call it? Like the maids
cleaning
or something.
ladies,
like they get 100% hear what's going on. In this room.
Can I be honest with you guys? I walked into the wrong hotel room earlier because somebody else was doing the
Somebody did that actually to our room earlier yesterday. Somebody walked into our room.
Yes, yeah. Well, like, how far did you walk in?
Yeah.
I walked in. I walked past like the threshold.
That's too far.
Like over to the bed.
And I was like, and they were there.
I was like, what happened to all of my stuff? Did we get robbed? And then I was like, this is a dark room.
Well, at least there wasn't people in it.
Yeah.
No, okay. So there wasn't people in it, but I walked out and there was a guy walking to the room, and I was like, I'm sorry. I thought it was mine, and then I just ducked out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Hilarious. Oh my God.
At least you said something and didn't just like slink off into our room.
I wouldn't have said anything. I would have just stared at the floor, skirmished away, and hoped that he knew what happened.
Yeah. I mean, what he's gonna assume at that point is that there's a guy robbing open hotel room. He's gonna be like, he went to my room, he went to 206.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, if I had done that and you guys weren't on this trip with me, I might have just gotten my keys, got to the van, and drove away. And been like, I guess I'm not here anymore. Which would even, by the way, lend more to like, oh yeah, it looked like he came out of a room.
I think he stole my shit. Like, I'd definitely be checking my room after you left.
Right.
And grabbed all your shit from your room and then completely left all.
So that was a little excursion there, but nonetheless, that's life on the road, as it were. But God damn it. Anyway, but no. So we do this. We go have a draw, and this is really where the story that we kind of mentioned this as Scott goes to close the door. By the way, we mentioned this a little bit as a tease on the last one, but we went to Joey was like, oh, there's this bar that does karaoke. We looked it up. They didn't have karaoke that night, so Tyler finds a bar that even Joey hadn't been to in Eufaula, Georgia.
And he lived there for 8 years. Right. Never been to this place.
Never been to the Spit Shot, was it?
Yeah, the Spit Shot.
That's a
spit shot away, you know?
Right. And so we roll into the Spit Shot Saloon. 3 of us, like Joey's there giving us some local cred, I guess. But like the 3 of us, I'm wearing my full-on Michigan hoodie into a bar that I don't think they see a lot of Michiganders up there too often.
No, not a lot of people other than the ones that are probably there every night.
Yeah. It was a deeply rural Alabama bar, and it was way outside of. I think it was more in Eric's comfort zone, at least for the
question.
Like. Yeah, he owns a cowboy hat. Yep. That's something.
Right.
He likes country music. Confederate flags on. That is true.
But that doesn't. But he's right though. I mean, if there were people in this group that Joey lives there, so I guess technically. Yeah. But Joey's not necessarily a country music guy. By the way, even with Joey there might have been the most person that fit in. I don't like after saying that when you guys mentioned the Confederate flags, it makes me sound bad.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to say that. Yeah, we were a part of that group. I'm just saying that's the kind of place we are.
Eric, we're on these long road trips. You have to let this whole the South will rise again.
Yeah, he's really been pushing it. We won't allow it. It's already done.
Right. No, to be fair, once we'll get to when we tell jokes. I mean, I think I did address that in my set. So I held my own as far as the north. So we get in there and there's like, we'll get to it in a second. There's like 6 people and we're just like, and by the way, you can smoke in this one because it's not a bar, it's a social club that doesn't sell food, and because they don't sell food and they call themselves a social club, you can smoke. So that's again more the kind of place that we're in.
And that's the thing. Like, one of the coolest aspects of the bar. Smoking inside is cool as fuck, and you should be allowed to do it.
I actually agree. I agree, even though I don't smoke. Other than the fact that I hate smoke on my clothes, and stuff, I think the businesses should be able to make the decision. But I don't hate it that they can't smoke because I don't smoke. But I agree that you should be able to.
I smoke, and honestly, I don't agree with everywhere. Planes, let us smoke on planes.
No.
It's pretty cool.
Wait a minute. It's
the coolest place to smoke.
Yes. Wait a minute. Here's the thing. Planes is a place you should definitely not be able to smoke because other people that don't smoke can't get away from it.
Yes, that's true.
You have to fly. A bar like
allow smokers to fly. That's
Well, I guess if they had only smoking flights and that'd be different to me. Like a bar to me, you should be able to smoke there because it's a fucking bar, and you know going in, hey, this is a smoking bar or this is a non-smoking bar. I'm choosing to go in.
Yeah,
I think you should be able to smoke in bars, but whatever.
That's fair.
You should be able to light a cigar walking around.
Okay,
Walmart.
this isn't us doing Scott's Facebook joke feeds. Trying stuff out that he's already written on Facebook.
Giving his type 5 on our podcast,
even though we do comedy, I guess. But so anyway, we're in this bar, and it is not a place. But right away, I don't know if it was Joey that did kind of know somebody or something, but he said something and referred to her from Michigan. And we start right off the bat. Scott ends up telling me, we're traveling around the country doing comedy. They seem to actually like it. Like, it wasn't that instant kind of, what are these boys doing here? Mm-hmm. These comedy boys from Michigan? That was a terrible, that was like a Hank Hill kind of voice. But we got an okay reception. And then the karaoke started. And you guys I want to hear about both of your karaoke.
I mean, we definitely started with doing Get Low. Yeah, we really popped that place off. Didn't we?
No.
Did I do a song and then you
did a song? You did "Feeling Good" by Michael.
That was a different night.
I did "Without Me" by Eminem. I figured, start out with a little bit of white rap. We'll see how this goes.
It's rap, but there's a white person, so it should be okay, right, guys?
They loved it. They loved it, to be fair. Other than one woman
that we will get into more later. But yes, one lady was not digging the vibe that we were laying down.
Everybody, and I mean, there were probably like 10 people there eventually.
Not a lot,
15 tops.
But when these guys did Get Low, there was a very large lady filming and twerking.
Yes.
And people at the bar, and a guy at the bar, and it inspired him to do that song about getting pussy or whatever. Yeah. So
what was that song?
I want some
pussy. Yeah.
I don't think it's really a song as much.
And he definitely did the chant. That was definitely inspired by.
Is it a limerick? Does that count as a limerick?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. So we did start doing songs, and again, like I said, I kind of, although Pat Green doesn't fit in necessarily. I mean, it's country, but even these guys.
I love Pat Green. Are you kidding me?
Like, and they did. But I would not assume that Pat Green would be.
I know you were sitting there the whole time. You're like, this is Alabama. They're not gonna know him or like him or whatever. They were immediately like, "Oh, great, we love it."
And they did, but I stand by my prejudice, but my prejudging, if you will.
Yeah.
But no, so I did a song, but honestly, it was crazy to be in this little bar. We were all doing songs, and when I even did mine, first thing she goes, Lily's like, "Okay, what do you want to do next?" Yes. I know they said it to these guys.
She straight up was like, "No, you have to be back up here. You guys are the life of this place." And
right. So then finally, the bar lady starts coming up to us like, "Hey guys, you should do some comedy." And in some situations like this, sometimes it's like one lady or a patron is like, hey, let them do comedy, and it's always kind of
like, we don't really want to do that. We don't want to interrupt your karaoke.
Right, like, and so, but Scott was kind of into it right away, right? You were pretty much, if she was going to let you do it.
Yeah, it was a situation. The thing was,
she was like a manager or something.
Yeah, she was. Yeah,
exactly. It was the woman who ran the restaurant, and then it was the karaoke lady. So I'm like, if there's two people, then it could be two better people in the bar asking you to do it. Yeah. It is a terrible. Anybody who's done comedy will know. Getting up in the middle of a karaoke night is not an ideal situation.
And getting up to do comedy in a situation where people were not there for comedy at all, just like their Friday night, is not necessarily an ideal situation either. Which comes later as well. But
well, we're here on the road, and one of our mantras that we have said repeatedly in a lot of situations is either going to be something good's going to happen or it's going to be a good story.
Right.
So, what else are we out here to do other than to just swing into these
generate both of those things.
Lean in, as the kids say.
And that we did. That we did.
And Scott, you want to go over you don't have to say what you said, but Scott can talk about his set a little bit, then I'll talk about my experience.
I tried to do
Yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't have my guitar.
Yeah.
Otherwise he would have.
And probably, honestly, would have probably done better than both of us because it was music.
Right, that's a good point. It would have fit in with karaoke. Great point.
Made more sense.
I got up there first. I did a couple. I tried to do some of my scripted material, and they just were not having it. I mean, what are you like? You gotta like. It's too much work. It's too much effort. And these people are here at the bar. They're trying to have a conversation. So I just kind of swung into one point. I don't even remember how we got on the subject. But I asked him if anybody knew somebody who had sex with their relatives. And that really got the bar going because it turns out
they all do.
It was a lot of the city, apparently. They had many stories.
And legitimately, we thought that we joked about it when we came down here. Like Joey said it when we got here. He's like, "There's my sister wife." Ha 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 ha. But it's like, no.
Oh no, sister wife.
They be fucking down here.
Right.
They were raising their hands like kids in class, being like, "Oh, I got one. I got it was 3 or 4 different stories about a relative."
And even if they weren't them. I don't know if I've ever been in a room before where that many people would have openly admitted that they knew somebody with that going down. And so,
for sure.
And then I got up and did my kind of thing, which I just bolted. See, I kind of knew anyway, but for sure after watching Scott, knew that just a straight comedy set was not going to work. Into a story from, although again, like that Confederate flag thing, I did right off the bat go, y'all know you didn't win the war, right? Like this is, you got the news down here, right? We did win. So I referenced the flags, but I get into a lady of the night story, if you will, and I get into it pretty deep. And that old lady, the previously mentioned old lady, that was not digging Scott's Eminem, certainly was not digging Get Low. She ends up just getting up, basing, going, "This is disgusting," and mumbling a few things, going up to the bar lady, going to the karaoke lady. This lady's totally okay with the Confederate flags, the smoking, the binge drinking, but a few paying for sex is where she's
incest.
Incest was even okay too. That incest didn't make her leave.
Scott went first.
That is a great point, actually. Incest, referencing incest. She was mad, but she did not walk out yet.
Yes.
Me referencing paying for pussy. She's like, "This is disgusting," and she just stormed out. And the thing
to be fair, the point where she walked out, you said you paid for a prostitute, and you're like, "So getting a blow job." You guys know what a blow job is here? Do you guys have that? It's when a woman, she puts her mouth on your penis and then she kind of sucks it. Like, you were really graphically describing a blow job.
They got those down here. They got those down here in Alabama. Something we do up in Michigan. I don't know. And so, but this lady leaves. And the funny thing is, we are in this bar that should not have been on our side. We really should have been ran out with pitchforks and shit like that.
Some kind of flaming object.
Right. But no, we had won the crowd over. This lady's leaving, and there was literally 2 girls at the bar going, "This ain't church, bitch." So we walked out an old lady at this Alabama bar.
We did walk her out.
And we definitely won, because in the end, the bar lady and the DJ lady were begging us not to leave. They took pictures with us. And
when he says begging, I mean they wanted to play us a song before we left.
Oh yeah, they played us a goodbye song. Right. Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say too. Do you remember? I'm trying to remember exactly what it is you said the second that woman walked out the door.
This isn't in the story, but because it was so obvious, the crowd was on her side, and like these girls said, "This ain't church, bitch," and then she left, and then even the lady doing the karaoke is like, "Okay, church is over. Like, finish the story or something." So then this isn't because it didn't happen, but then I fucking did some cocaine off her asshole or something, and it's like, and they loved it because it was like they hated that lady.
Yeah.
And the bar lady also at one point said, "Yeah, she only bought one $2 beer and didn't tip. Fuck her." So two hippies, one drunk, one Alabama lady, 0. So whoever she is, by the way, not all the Alabama,
just that
broad or whatever.
Yep.
So anyway, man, there's a lot to talk about. Then we're at Joey's. I'm getting my car, the van worked on by, a character is the best way I could describe him. And I'm going to say this. He started the morning off, and he was very knowledgeable. A dude who's living in his RV park, making lasers, very knowledgeable, though, doing 3 shots before 9 a.m. as he's about to work in my car. Yeah. And I'm just going to get the full-on fast way of explaining it. I'm going to let you guys talk this. But, like, eventually they had to go pick something up from him before the evening was out, and
we went to his house at pretty late. Honestly, it was probably like 9:30, 10ish.
I don't think it was that late. I think it was like 7:30.
No, it wasn't that late. Because I didn't go to bed that late.
Yeah.
So, and I was up when this happened.
So I guess 7 o'clock. He was back there, back in his place or whatever, rummaging around trying to get to the door, and we were like, I hope we're not disturbing him. We definitely were. He came to the door with an erection that he covered with a towel. And this was like, take the keys, just leave them out there.
Covered with a towel, just kind of let it hang on his dick like a doorkb.
Yes. Scott said an "as it were," by the way. We didn't have we obviously get the bell, and whenever as it were is said, but Scott said it right there, and he didn't even say it ironically.
No, he said it.
I said it as it were?
Yes.
Holy shit. Oh my God. We've been on this trip too long.
In regular conversation. He said it was hanging on his dick, as it were, or something like that. You were it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like if I were to describe this guy, if there are any Grand Theft Auto fans out there, I feel like this is a guy you get early Grand Theft Auto mission,
like side mission.
Yep, he's living in a trailer. He works on lasers in his free time. Like he's old, he's alcoholic.
He'll come into play later on in the game with like laser.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a mission later on where you like break into a bank vault with a laser. You go back to that guy because that was the other thing. He made lasers.
Yeah.
And legit lasers. Yeah, like lasers that can kill, like he described, kill the cockroach. Not just a laser pointer from the late 90s or whatever. Like when you're
no, lasers. Like it's going to hurt you, laser.
Like freaking Austin Power lasers, right? You know what I mean? Like a laser. Like seriously, though. So anyway, there's that. By the way, I'm gonna, again, if anyone hasn't seen this video, I'm also going to say, there's a nice video of me kayaking if you want to go to our Facebook page as well.
Yeah, it is a nice video.
Because Joey took us kayaking. And I'm just going to, again, with that, I'm going to say go to the Facebook page. It's worth it. So I'm trying to think. So we did that with Joey. Was there anything on it?
It was a 30-second kayaking trip.
Right. For me. Not for these guys. Not for these guys.
Had a good time.
I'm trying to think. So there's that. As far as the Joey experience, is there anything else from your mind that like sticks out, or other than the kindness?
Obviously, the food was fantastic. He got us liquor, beer. Like he was just so nice. His wife was fantastic. Like we really appreciate that we got to stay there and do that.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, we've had this happen a couple of times. I'm sure based on what some people have said, we'll have it had a couple of more times. It just, the generosity and kindness of people on the road has been really, truly amazing. And honestly, like inspiring. Like anybody who says that, you can't trust people and all that or whatever, it's like, obviously don't be an idiot about it, but there's a lot of good people out there.
And I'll get to a little more of that in a second. We then, after leaving Joe, which by the way, we're starting to get used to like having to say goodbye to people, which is kind of weird because like it's, excuse me. But it's like I didn't even plan on this. Like we're doing these trips, and now like my buddy Ty came, and now Joey, and we have another one coming up where it's like already in 8 weeks. It's like we're having these moments where like saying goodbye to people, like we're leaving. But then in the end, as we started to say, like there's literally it's like it lasts a little bit, and then now we're on to whatever's next.
Yep.
And what was next was up to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where we did some comedy. We did some comedy in Birmingham. Well, we did Tuscaloosa first. So we did Tuscaloosa. Went really, really well. Scott, we all actually did very well in Tuscaloosa.
Packed college town. Great show.
Yeah, that place had probably like almost like 70 people in it. It was freaking packed.
Yeah,
Tyler had some guy actually filming his music, which is really cool.
And had like a guy make a reference to my like red flags thing in his bit too,
which for comics, for anybody that hasn't done comedy, that to me in an out of town situation, that is a really big compliment for someone to reference a joke.
And then say, I love that shit.
Yeah,
I fucks with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, but you've actually had a couple of times, Tyler, with your different songs where you have had people go up. You had that in New Orleans as well.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
It was really awesome.
And so that one really, and even we ended up talking to some people afterwards. A lot of them ended up kind of following us. So
it's one of the nights we actually hung out with the comics after too, where we talked to them for we were there for like an hour after.
Yeah, because it is a weird thing where it's like sometimes you go to these shows and, people are getting ready to go to another show right afterwards. Yep. By the time the show is over, most of the people have already left because they did their sets and they leave. So you don't always get the opportunity to necessarily like hang out in the community like that. And that was definitely a time when we did.
Yeah, where we got to actually share some of our like our stuff to them. Like, hey, check out our stuff. And they wanted our number and like stuff like that. It was awesome.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I did not remember all their names, but I know one of them, I think it was like Katrina or something, messaged our Instagram and said she'd already checked out the show and thought it was cool. So if any of them are still listening, we really appreciated that night. It was a lot of fun for all of us.
Yes.
And so that was cool. Like, again, we're doing this stuff and we're starting to get a little momentum. But comedy is comedy. And the next night we do a place in Birmingham. Nothing against the people. Everybody that's been running the shows, for the most part, everyone's been very nice.
Yeah.
But shows are what they are. Open mics are what they are. And sometimes you are brought back to reality where there's, no crowd members again. And it goes and it's great. It's still fun, but it was funny. But you go these highs and lows sometimes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm sure, and this will tie into our pizzeria story in a minute in Georgia. But like also one thing that has been so cool about this trip is actually getting to spend the time learning to navigate all of these sorts of situations where it's like we did stand up for years, but we did it in a community we knew in like the Michigan kind of Midwest area or whatever, and getting out and doing all of this. It's like you have to learn to adapt to all of these different sorts of shows.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we did Birmingham, and that's what it was like. Like I said, the host was very gracious, very nice. Even the comics were pretty nice, but it just wasn't a room like the room before. There was there might have been 30 people that were non-comics. Like he said, maybe 70, so maybe even 40 people.
A lot of people.
So
people were standing watching comedy.
Yeah.
And if I could say one more thing about these local scenes too, we've talked about, man, if you were a completely unethical person, you could go around and steal these brilliant jokes from like every scene we've been in. There's somebody out there who's got, a couple of real just where you're like, this is a fucking brilliant joke.
And I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say if we knew the names, I would actually credit, because there's one in my head. I think maybe we all were thinking about it. I almost don't even want to say the premise because I don't want anyone else to get an idea. But if I knew his name, I'd credit him. But there's been a few, like Scott said, for real, that we've all been like
blown away by that.
That's a good premise.
So it was on the tip of everyone's tongue until they said it.
Right. Like, how did I never think of this? So he's right about that for sure. And then the other thing that you would learn, by the way, having said it though, is if you're in Michigan, you think, if you're in your own place and you just think, oh my God, it must just be better everywhere else. No offense, but open mics, nothing against them. Open mics are open mics everywhere we go. At least that's what we've found. Yeah. Like there's some good ones. There's some bad ones. There's some good ones that just have bad nights. And there's some bad ones that have good nights. It's just, unless you're in New York or LA doing the thing really, open mics are open mics.
And there's hacks and there's geniuses in every lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was our time kind of in Alabama. And now we'll get into which will be kind of the I'll say the final story of the episode, the crescendo of the show, but it's going to take a little time. So I had met this dude at a music festival, Jimmy Tropicana. I don't know that that's his last name, but Jimmy Tropicana on Facebook. I'd met him a few years ago at a music festival, and we just kind of stayed in touch. And I have a little tight group of EDM fans. We actually we have a name for ourselves. We call them ourselves a Turtle Family. And we've made it up at our raves and this and that. He liked what we were doing, and he's like, "Hey, I want to try to help you out. I'm going to give you a stage." And so it's one of these things that if he watches, some of our thoughts have nothing to do with you. It just has nothing to do with that we don't quite know what the situation we're walking into. Because he just ends up saying like, oh, my family owns some restaurants and we're going to put you up on a stage and you're going to get to do an hour. And that's fine. We all have a decent amount of material, but we don't know what to expect. It's kind of a small town, Fayetteville, Georgia, a little south of Atlanta. It's just, we find out later, it's just like kind of at a pizzeria.
This was put together 2 days before we were to be on stage for an hour in this place.
So it's not like it was like a month in advance where it's like, hey guys, for a month, comedy's coming. And the other thing is, and it's nothing against those people, but I was telling these guys, at least my feeling, and if they disagree with me, they certainly can, but like, if you're a local person, maybe, and they're like, oh, these guys have been around, but like, it's even harder in my mind anyway. You come in and like, we're from Michigan. We say we're touring around the country. There's like a more instant pressure to be like, well, I ain't heard of them. And they're from Michigan. They better be fucking funny. I mean, my pizza pie here. So I mean, like, so I walked in just going, I mean, it was packed. And I walked in just going, oh no.
But they didn't know what was going on. That was the vibe that you felt. It's like families having dinner.
The owners knew, and apparently the owners were telling people, but even when you tell people, they don't know what that means.
They're like, oh, cool. I hope I'm not here for that.
Okay, and
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, without getting too inside baseball, as the sports term
as it
were, there is like, we kind of had a problem too, where we're like, okay, this is being marketed as Eric Fady and Friends, which means he has to go up last.
Right.
Tyler's doing music. It makes sense for him to go in the middle, which means I have to go up first. I'm not an opening guy. I'm the most abrasive out of the three of us in general. Even when I try to tone it down, even when it's just like my comedy, it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. And like, so we were a little bit worried, like they've seen me on stage enough times and stuff and everything. They go, he's going to do this to a pizzeria full of families.
There was an 8-year-old boy there. There was a 14-year-old kid there.
There was 100% a moment during Scott's side where Tyler was like, I was sitting there with Tyler. And to be clear, in the end, people were laughing. Mm-hmm. We all think we did really well for the situation.
Yeah.
But there was just some middle-ish people that did not expect it. They were hearing something. And I was just at one point going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then Scott said something about a cum sock. Yeah. And I don't hear it, but I go, what did he just say? And Tyler,
like, yeah,
don't worry about it, dude.
Don't worry
just
about
move on.
He's saying a lot. He's saying things up there.
Right. You don't have to concern yourself.
Your turn's coming.
Right. Oh, go ahead.
But no, it went like we all had people coming up complimenting us afterwards.
Well,
we all had people laughing throughout our sets. Like, it turned into a really, really cool night.
And I would say, traditionally in your mind, Scott's right. Like, based on our styles, very traditionally, possibly I would have been the opener because I kind of can do some more warm up the crowd stuff. I will talk to people. Yeah. I have a little less aggressiveness. Not, even though my subject matter is not necessarily, but I don't say it as aggressively maybe. Yeah. In this setting, though, we did do it right because by the time if I had gone up and done 20 minutes, Tyler done his stuff, and Scott was up last, I think that could have been a little more rough. Do you agree or no?
No. I
you wouldn't have done well, by the way. I just think it would have been a little harder.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Like, we kind of talk about, like, you are a more conversational story guy. I'm more of a punchline writer. And those different styles are... They were done with comedy by the time you got on the stage. They were not expecting it. It had been 40 minutes at this point, and you were able to have a successful set by honestly mostly just abandoning your material and doing crowd work.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of more like, let me explain really quick about this. I do want to get into this. Like, when we were getting ready for this, again, if Jimmy, he's been very active on our media, so he's probably watching. So again, it's nothing against him, but we just don't know. It was an unfamiliar thing. We had a 4-hour drive in from we got to get our hotel. And now we're doing a lot more comedy than we're doing. So we were all working our stuff. And it was just, I was just going in, not because I wasn't happy for it. I just get worried. I worried that we're not going to be able to deliver on what I think was kind of sold. And we were very anxious. At least I was. Scott was not nearly as much. Me and Tyler were I walked in.
We looked at each other from across he went to go get a beer, and we looked at each other, and he just went like, oh God. And I'm like, we're here.
Right.
We're going to do it.
Which I feel like the lesson from this is, at this point now, we've had several times where there has been a ton of anxiety, and it's all turned out okay.
I know.
You know what I mean? So, I do feel like
we can hold our own when it comes to this.
I told them, I told them, I think I do have the more anxiety of all these people, but I also tend to have a very just whatever. I think in this time on my end, and I told Scott, was like, I think it was because I knew Jimmy. It was technically worded as Big E with friends or Eric with friends. I felt like it was all on me, and then it just was a tough deal. But in the end, it was great. Scott, 100%. Even though I was doing this for some of it, had people laughing. Tyler absolutely had people laughing and good applause. All of his songs, but even at the very end, ended with kind of the louder version. Applause break. I did okay. We had people coming up to us after telling us all we had done okay. We had compliments, and then you guys do better sometimes at some of the storytelling. You want to talk about Sean? On the owner's wife. The lady that owned it. I mean, not the owner's wife.
Anthony's Pizzeria, just to
Shayville, and the wife that owned the lady that owned the bar loved us. She gave us pizza, beer.
Great pizza.
Very enjoyed everything in the end.
So Tyler went to go visit a childhood friend who also doubled as his weed guy. And
what? This is what was going on with my friend. I didn't know nothing. I did not. I had no culpability.
Definitely had some other stuff to do.
News to me.
Yeah. So it kind of ended up being a situation where Eric and I were talking to these people afterwards, and the people who owned the pizzeria, their brother-in-law was like a hiker who's done these insane. He did like the Appalachian Trail. He's doing the Continental Divide soon. And he was like, hey, I kind of see you guys as fellow travelers, was I think how he worded it and stuff. And he was like, if you want to stay at my house tomorrow.
Gave us $50.
Gave us $50 as well, yeah. Also, his nephew gave me an eighth of weed.
That happened too. I've already forgotten about that, by the way. How this life goes. I've already forgotten about it.
I mean, the people at the pizzeria were so generous, and it was such a cool night. They gave us free pizza. They gave us beer as much as we wanted. Too much beer. We were done drinking, and they brought up a whole nother pitcher, and we're like, okay, here we go.
I guess we got it.
I guess we got it. Just being
I was out at that point. These guys just got hammered.
I know, dude. And we got a little drunk.
Yeah. And so we ended up talking to him for a while. He gave me his address, and we weren't sure how it was going to go the next day because people, they drink and they say things, but we're like, this guy seemed pretty genuine.
He seemed legit. He gave him the address, but still you don't know. And we're kind of like, I think we got a place to stay tomorrow, and then even the next day, like, I think we got a place to stay tonight, but we'll wait a little bit. I will say real quick, you should mention your karaoke experience.
So we get done there. The place closes at like 10:30 or so. And when the place closed at 10, but we were drinking with the family.
Yeah, we were in.
So yeah.
Not the dad.
Yeah, there was the one member of the family who didn't say a word to us and was glowering at us from the bar. I don't know what his situation was. Everybody else
loved us. So,
yep.
Hey, I win them all over.
Yeah. So we left there, and Eric and I, we're pretty drunk at this point, and we're like, we need to find something else to do. We're not ready to turn in. It
ended up going well. We got the $50. That was nice. Plus free food and pizza food and beer and stuff. So it was a little bit and I wasn't looking to get wasted, but I just wanted one more beer. You know what I mean? You always want one more, but
to be fair, that's all we had. It was just like, we got to go do something else. We're going to go back to our fucking hotel room. Nothing against this hotel room too. Had a real retirement home vibe to it.
I felt like the beer was more like I felt like one more beer was like a celebratory beer. That's how I saw it as. I saw I wanted to go one more place and have this, hey, cheers outside of that setting. So anyway.
Yeah. So we looked up a nearby bar and we went in. It was like 11:30 at this point, and the place is closing at midnight. We're like, hey, can we just get one beer? She's like, yeah. She tells us next door there's a hookah lounge where they're doing karaoke, and you can bring your beer into there. This place also closes at midnight. We get in, this is Atlanta. We're the only white people in the entire place. And it was kind of an interesting vibe, too, because this was, a really heavy, they were singing rap and R&B, and, it was that sort of environment. And you talk about, how that Alabama bar was kind of Eric's comfort zone. This is my comfort zone as far as that goes. And I asked him if I could they showed me how to put in a song. I was going to do Mercy by Kanye West. And I'm like, hey, I noticed though it's 11:40. I'm like, is it even worth it for me to put it in? I'm sure you guys have a line of songs. And they're like, the guy goes, what are you going to do? And I'm like, Mercy by Kanye West. And he's like, can you do it?
Yeah, he did want to make sure you weren't just a guy being an asshole.
Yes. And I was like, yes, I can. And he was like, okay, then we're going to put you up right now. Next song he put me up. And I mean, this is another thing. We have a video of it online.
Check it out.
On my personal Facebook. I think we were going to post something to Two Hippies One Drunk at some point. Maybe if we get a chance.
Yeah.
But it was just, it was the coolest karaoke experience I've ever had in my life. Dude put a chain on me in the middle of me.
Right, so it's major threat getting given there.
Yeah, it was cool. Like it was a very, very lively, very fun bar and a very awesome experience in general.
And the funny, I will say this, on the opposite end, Tyler, although he's meeting his friend and apparently doing some illegal, no, I'm just kidding, but he's doing his shit. He had a driving experience, though.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful because we found out later that you shouldn't read stop signs in Atlanta because they will sometimes lead you deeper into like bad areas.
Well, not stop signs,
highway signs.
Highway signs.
Yes.
Okay, not stop signs. Yeah.
Yes.
But they're signs. And I was using my GPS, but my phone died while I was trying to get back to the hotel, so I didn't know where I was. And I was going deeper into just not a great area. Like there were speed bumps that I was definitely like, I'm gonna go a little faster so that I can get over this and get out of this area. I don't need speed bumps right now. And it should have taken me 15 minutes. It took me 40 minutes. And it was awful and terrifying. And I was like, at one point in the backwoods of Atlanta.
You said if anybody's ever watched the series Atlanta on FX, he said like he felt like he was in a storyline.
Yes, very surreal, and like it just felt very like cool and surreal at the same time, and kind of terrifying, which reminds me of that show.
So
and then I finally got back.
We had somebody describing to us, the thing you were talking about is we had somebody describing to us the next day about how they will move highway signs and point it deeper and deeper, like into a bad area to kind of trap you. And then all of a sudden you think you're going to the highway and they jump in and they rob you. Is that what you think?
I think he just got
driving on.
No, because I was using my GPS. At that point, I was just driving around until my phone got charged.
Oh, so I got you. So you're just going wherever. You're not.
Yes, I'm going straight.
Okay.
And I keep going straight until my phone charges, and finally it did, and I got back on the highway and went. And even then, I went off 2 wrong exits because of the confusing crap in.
Yeah, you were gone for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember not even understanding what the time frame was, because once you get that little buzz state, you don't even know. I'm just like, I guess he's doing what he's doing. I guess.
It was like right after the show, I left, and then me and Clay hung out for probably about an hour, or something, and then I tried to find my way home.
So the next day, we God, there's so much to talk about. We met up with a friend I know, Jared, back from my Michigan days. Although he lives down here, he's really a Georgia native, but he used to live in Michigan for a period of time. Hung out in this place called 5 Points in Georgia, or Atlanta, which was pretty cool.
It was cool.
Went to like this park.
Loved all the art.
Yeah.
That they had
Sorry.
downtown.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I loved all the spray paint art and all the like murals and stuff. It was incredible. One of the coolest art areas I've seen so far.
Yeah, and we were really thankful for him, too, because if we had gone there on our own, we might have been able to walk around or something. But he grew up in the area, so we had a little walking tour.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was great.
It was awesome. Bought our lunch.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Some awesome pizza.
Yeah. Then we went into, I guess, what they almost would describe as Central Park for Atlanta. It was like Piedmont or something. If you know it, you'll know, I guess. Very cool, though. We walked around, some animals, a lake, yada, yada. Good view of the skyline of Atlanta. But then we're finally on this point, and I'm like, thank God I have Scott for somebody, because having these people do things for me that sometimes I would feel uncomfortable with. Because it came time to text this dude, Sean, if we could stay at his place. And I'm like, I told Scott, if it were me, I'd sit there for 45 minutes, just like, is this too abrasive? Is it not abrasive enough? And luckily Scott's a little better with that shit. So he sends him a text. He's like, no, I'm totally serious. You can come by. We swing by. It turns out to be a fucking beautiful place. Like
gorgeous in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Right.
We're driving up. We're like, it's one of these houses?
Right. One of these guys could not be willing to let us stay at their house. And it was
is there an apartment complex at the end of this?
Yeah, right. No, it ended up being a full-on like basement apartment, full kitchen, bathroom, shower, 3 beds for all of us, 2 TVs, even if you wanted to watch some TV.
Full-on Airbnb for free.
Yes, basically that's what that's a great way of finally just saying it. You're right. And it was great. And Scott, you should say what we were saying on this trip. Like, we're doing great, and we do these hotel rooms. And honestly, all of us think we're actually doing better with sleep than we thought. We're trying to be responsible about taking days off here and there. But you should say like what you said about like the fact that like when we get to a place that's kind of like home.
Dude, yeah, anytime. Like, it's so funny. We will be going and going and going, getting to sleep. We can, moving, feeling all right. The second we're in a situation where it slows down and we're in a place that's somewhat comfortable, man, I think we all slept. I mean, Tyler slept maybe 16 hours, something insane. I slept like
the big nap.
Yeah.
Not dying.
It was a borderline coma.
Right.
I slept probably 12, and you slept what, like 8 or 9, which is massive for you.
Yeah,
it's one of those Tempur-Pedic beds, man. It like hugged me into slumber.
yeah. No, I mean, I probably slept 8, but like again, 8 for me. I mean, the funny thing is too is like it just shows you this life that we're experiencing, at least at this moment, where it was like that was Friday night, right? And we're in Atlanta, and dude, I held off until 8 o'clock because I thought if I went to bed at 6, then I'm gonna wake up at 3. And maybe I should have gone to bed anyway, because in reality, maybe it would have been even better for me. But I didn't know how I sleep. And by 9, all of us were in bed by far. Like, I don't think made it past 10. And then here is like I said, kind of Friday night, you know what I mean?
And this guy, Sean, too, I mean, he asked us if we wanted to do a bonfire or whatever. And I think we were at one point, and
was I already asleep?
No, I believe you were in the conversation.
Oh.
And it said, no, we're too tired.
It was kind of a situation, where we were like, honestly, like, we've been going so hard and we're so tired or whatever. And he told some short story about, like, being tired on the trail and staying at somebody's house. And then, like, was totally cool and let us sleep.
I think he was telling you that. Unless he was saying it the night before at the bar, he was telling you that and I was already sleeping. Because I definitely don't remember that at all. Which is too bad because I did say this. I felt bad because I knew he was putting us up, and I love bonfires, and I would have loved to have done it. But again, like I was at the point where I could have fallen asleep at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So
I did.
You did.
I literally did.
So for Sean, if you check this out at some point, we really appreciate it. I know Jimmy, by the way, has commented on here, so I don't know if he's still listening, but he was at one point. In the end, dude, I gotta send you a message personally because but it was. Ended up being great. One of our most favorite nights on the trip led to a free room. Is that housekeeping?
In fact,
I could use a towel. I could use a towel.
We do need a towel.
So, by the way, we really appreciate all these help that we've been getting, and this is really weird. Hey, so anyway, we do these shows and content, and we'd really appreciate if we could get any help because it's not easy. All these nights we've had really saving us a lot. So Venmo, Eric Fadie, EricFadie, Cash App I'm on, and I always say this: if you want to give us money, we can give you. We had a guy hit me up recently, gave us $11 because I told that story of us with the cab or not wanting to get an Uber for 11. And so if you 248-935-9241, if you want to send us money, we'll take it. Jimmy, there is thank you, Jimmy. We really appreciate it from Scott and Tyler as well. Remember, we do the 2 Hippies, 1 Drunk on Wednesday. I'm going to finish up our Fuck Robbie this Wednesday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a Big E comedy venture tomorrow because Amy's in Cancun and like we already covered so much, but I might still pop on and just do something so I can keep it consistent. And then we'll do this again. By the time we do this one, we'll definitely have been in not Cancun ourselves, but Key West. So we'll been in Key West for the next time we do this. Any final thoughts?
There's so many things. I feel like it's hard to even start with even like a final thought. This last week, I guess, has been incredible. We've met so many genuinely nice people who've put us up and helped us. Thank you to all of them. And thank you for everyone checking out our podcast.
Yeah. The kindness of strangers is amazing. And also, like, most of the time when you take risks, they work out.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. All right, guys, that's it for this week. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.